there's like 10 or 12 like main categories, and then a bunch of little categories within each of those. So the way I did it last time was that I did like one little category in each of the big categories. So yeah, a bunch of really random topics of facts, but a little bit of everything. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope it is fun. So we're starting with the animal category, and today the animal category that we have is ostrich facts. So I think last time we did elephant facts, this time we are doing ostrich facts. Alright, number 1. Contrary to popular belief, ostriches don't bury their heads in the sand. Ostriches can't fly, but they can run at speeds of 45 miles per hour for up to 30 minutes. That's crazy. The African black ostrich is farmed for meat, leather, and feathers. Ostriches have the best feed to weight ratio gain of any farmed land animal in the world, and produced the strongest commercially available leather. The ostrich's eyes are about the size of billiard balls. An ostrich's brain is smaller than either of its eyeballs. This may explain why it tends to run in circles. The ostrich's intestines are 46 feet long, about twice as long as those of a human. Ostriches in captivity have been known to swallow coins, bicycle valves, alarm clocks, and even small bottles. The ostrich is the largest living bird, standing 6 to 10 feet tall and weighing as much as 340 pounds. If you're not American, that's a little taller than a human and about twice the weight of a human. This great bird has only 2 toes on each foot. All other birds have 3 or 4. Ostriches kick forward, not backward, because that's the direction in which their knees bend. Their powerful long legs can deliver lethal kicks. Although ostrich eggs are the largest of any bird, they are the smallest eggs relative to the size of the adult bird. A 3-pound egg is only about 1% as heavy as the ostrich hen. Ostriches never need to drink water. Some of it they make internally, and the rest is derived from their food. Wow, ostriches are pretty cool animals. That's kind of cool. Okay, the next main category is planet Earth facts. So we are going to start with blazing hot facts. The world's hottest temperature of 134 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded on July 10th, 1913, in Furnace Creek, Death Valley, California. The Sahara is the world's largest hot desert. Despite the popular saying, it's never hot enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk, the pavement would need to hit at least 158 degrees Fahrenheit for the egg to cook, and the blacktop only reaches 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot water should boil at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, but the actual boiling point varies depending on atmospheric pressure, which changes according to elevation. A typical lightning bolt is hotter than the surface of the sun. The Chicago heat wave of 1995 killed 739 people, mostly poor elderly residents who couldn't afford air conditioning. as negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit in clouds, and even cooled water down to negative 42 degrees Fahrenheit in the lab. What? Fun fact, negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit is also negative 40 degrees Celsius. So, crazy. The world's lowest temperature of negative 128.5 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded at Vostok Station, Antarctica, on July 21st, 1983. Icebergs are formed from glaciers on land and drift out to sea. They are mostly made from fresh water, not salt water. Snowflakes are collections of ice crystals. The way that ice crystals join together gives every snowflake a unique design. One snowflake can contain as many as 100 ice crystals. What shape a snowflake takes depends on the temperature and the amount of moisture in the cloud. In 1988, two identical snowflakes collected from a Wisconsin storm were confirmed to be twins at an atmospheric research center in Colorado. The Rainier Paradise Ranger Station in Washington State gets an average of 676 inches of snow annually. Earth's two ice sheets cover most of Greenland and Antarctica. They make up more than 99% of the world's glacial ice. Most North Atlantic icebergs calve or detach from the Greenland ice sheets. Growlers are mini icebergs, and bergy bits are big ice chunks. Bergy bits. 90% of Greenland is covered by an ice cap and smaller glaciers. The coldest temperature ever recorded in North America was negative 87 degrees Fahrenheit on January 9th, 1954, at the North Ice Research Station on Greenland. Harbin, China, often called the Ice City, hosts the Harbin International Snow and Ice Festival each year. Temperatures as low as negative 44 degrees Fahrenheit have been recorded in Harbin. The village of Oymyakon, Russia, is the coldest permanently occupied settlement in the world, population 500. During the winter, temperatures average negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit, and 21 hours per day are spent in darkness. The all-time coldest temperature there was negative 98 degrees Fahrenheit, recorded in 2013. International Falls, Minnesota took another town to court over the title of coldest place in the continental United States. Temperatures as low as negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit have been recorded there. The title of coldest place actually belongs to Stanley, Idaho, with a record cold of negative 52.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Not all blizzards have falling snow. Ground blizzards occur when no snow is falling. Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, is the coldest capital city. The average annual temperature is 29.6 degrees Fahrenheit in Ulaanbaatar, but temperatures range between 5 and negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit in winter months. While it seems counterintuitive, Earth is actually closer to the sun during winter in the northern hemisphere. When you hear thunder during a snowstorm, it's called thundersnow. Lightning is harder to see in the winter, and the snow sometimes dampens the thunderous sound. measurements. I wish it would give me both, but that would also be very tiring to read. But yeah, I wish that it had both so I could tell you both. But okay, the next main category is history, and we are going to start with the 11 shortest wars in history. 11 shortest wars. Number 1 is the Anglo-Zanzibar War that lasted from 9:02 to 9:40 a.m. on August 27th, 1896. Number 2 is the Spanish-American War, which lasted from April 25th to August 12th in 1898, and was the U.S. versus Spain, obviously. Number 3 is the Nazi-Polish War from September 1st to October 6th, 1939, between Nazi Germany and Soviet Union versus Poland. Next was the Nazi-Danish War from 4:15 to 9:20 a.m. on April 9th, 1940, Nazi Germany versus Denmark. It's like 5 hours long. Number 5 is the Suez-Sinai War from October 29th to November 6th, 1956, between Israel, Britain, and France versus Egypt. Number 6 is the Six-Day War from June 5th to the 10th, 1967, Israel versus Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. Number 7 is the Yom Kippur War from October 6th to the 25th of 1973, Egypt and Syria versus Israel. Number 8 is the Soccer War from July 15th to 19th of 1969, between El Salvador and Honduras. Number 9 is the Falklands War from March 19th to June 14th of 1982, between Argentina and the UK. Number 10 is the invasion of Grenada from October 25th to mid-December 1983, the US versus Grenada and Cuba. And number 11 is the First Gulf War from January 16th to March 3rd, 1991, the Allies versus Iraq. Okay, 11 shortest wars in history, but we are also going to do some facts about ancient Egypt to round out our history facts for today. Alright. Ancient Egypt was one of the most advanced and stable civilizations in human history, lasting for more than 3,000 years. Ancient Egypt lasted from around 3100 BC to 30 BC, when it was conquered by the Romans. Ancient Egyptians called their picture-based written language Medu Neter, which means words of God. The ancient Greeks renamed the writing system hieroglyphs, or sacred carvings. The names of important people were written inside an oval called a cartouche. As the breadbasket of the Eastern Mediterranean and a gateway to African trade, geography guaranteed that major powers would covet Egypt. Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great, made the world's oldest known peace treaty after a long war against the Hittites, ended received from rebels defeated on the battlefield. Pharaohs wore a cobra symbol on their crowns, which was believed to spit fire at the pharaoh's enemies. Both men and women wore makeup in ancient Egypt. Eyeliner was drawn on with kohl, a black powder. Nefertiti was the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten. She is believed to have ruled beside him for 14 years. Some scholars believed Nefertiti ruled briefly as pharaoh after her husband died. Nefertiti was made famous by her bust, one of the most copied works of ancient Egyptian art. Shaving away all body hair, most notably the eyebrows, was part of an elaborate daily purification ritual that was practiced by the pharaoh and his priests. The ancient Egyptians believed that health, good crops, victory, and prosperity depended on keeping their gods happy. Egyptian religion revolved around dozens of gods, often part animal. Shaving the eyebrows was also a sign of mourning, even among commoners. The Greek historian Herodotus, who traveled and wrote in the 5th century BC, said that everyone in an ancient Egyptian household would shave his or her eyebrows following the natural death of a pet cat. For dogs, Herodotus reported that household members would shave their heads and all of their body hair as well. Chairs in ancient Egypt had legs shaped like animal limbs. Ancient Egyptian women enjoyed equal privileges with men on many fronts, including the right to buy, sell, and inherit property, to marry and divorce, and to practice an occupation outside the home. Legal rights and social privileges varied by social class rather than by gender. In other words, women and men in the same social class enjoyed fairly equal rights. Queen Ahotep of the early 18th dynasty was granted Egypt's highest military decoration, the Order of the Fly, at least 3 times for saving Egypt during the Wars of Liberation against the Hyksos invaders from the north. Egyptian pharaohs often married their siblings because it was believed that pharaohs were gods on earth and thus could only marry other gods. The entire Egyptian empire depended on Nile floods. Ancient Egyptian farmers built ditches and low walls to trap floodwater from the Nile. Ancient Egyptians brewed and drank beer. It was actually a source of nutrition, motivation, and sometimes payment for work. Ancient Egyptians lined linen bandages with honey to get them to stick to skin. Tutankhamun became pharaoh in 1336 BC at the age of 9. He ruled until 1327 BC, when he died suddenly at the age of 18. Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered in 1922. Grave robbers had looted the tombs of many other pharaohs, but Tut's tomb remained undisturbed for 3,000 years. It took archaeologists 10 years to catalog the contents of Tut's tomb. The earliest step pyramid dates to around 2630 BC. At Saqqara, Egypt, the architect Imhotep built mastaba upon mastaba, fashioning a 200-foot-high pyramid as a mausoleum for Pharaoh Djoser. Over the next 2,000 years or so, Egyptian engineers built several pyramid complexes along the Nile's west bank. The most famous and popular today are those at Giza, but dozens survive. We used to believe pyramids were built under the lash, but modern scholars doubt this. Egyptians believed that after a pharaoh died, he would reach the heavens via sunbeams. Egyptians also believed that the pyramid shape would help the pharaoh on this journey. Once the pharaoh reached the heavens, he would become Osiris, the god of the dead. To adequately perform the duties of Osiris, the pharaoh would need a well-preserved body and organs. The Egyptians feared that if they did not prepare the pharaoh's body for the afterlife, disaster would fall upon Egypt. Ancient Egyptian children played a game similar to hockey, with sticks made from palm branches and pucks made of leather pouches stuffed with papyrus. In 332 BC, Alexander the Great of Greece conquered Egypt. Pharaohs in the Ptolemaic dynasty were Greeks descended from Ptolemy, one of Alexander's generals. Pharaoh Ptolemy Soter began building the world's first lighthouse in the harbor of Alexandria, Egypt in 290 BC. Cleopatra VII was the last pharaoh. She and Mark Antony killed themselves. Egypt became part of the Roman Empire in 30 BC, ending the age of the pharaohs. Alright, that was all of the Egypt facts. That was a lot of facts, and I'm getting very tired, but very interesting. I did not know King Tut was only 18, but I did hear that he was like the son of a brother and sister, so maybe that had to do with it. Okay, the next main category is food and drink, and today we have pretzel facts. So if you know me, you know that pretzels are the only food I will not eat. I hate pretzels, but we are gonna do the facts. According to one origin story, Italian monks invented soft pretzels in AD 610 to motivate catechism students. I don't know what that is. The monks called the treat pretiola, or little rewards. The twists resemble arms folded in prayer, and the three holes might represent the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Pretzels are made of a simple mixture of water, flour, and salt. In Germany, there are stories that pretzels were the invention of desperate bakers held hostage by local dignitaries. Bakers in Austria have their own coat of arms, 2 lions holding a pretzel. It was granted in 1510 after monks baking pretzels in a basement heard invaders digging tunnels under Vienna's city walls and helped defeat the invasion. Pretzels show up in medieval religious art, including depictions of the Last Supper, and in a prayer book created in 1440 pretzels made in the state of Bavaria can be sold as Bavarian pretzels in the EU. The average American eats about 2 pounds of pretzels in a year. Philadelphia eats about 6 times that amount. Pretzels are a symbol of good luck and have been used in New Year's celebrations in Germany. This food is also a symbol of eternal love. They've been included in wedding ceremonies, the possible origin of the phrase tying the knot. The high school in Freeport, Illinois, nicknamed Pretzel City, USA, has a pretzel as its mascot. The world's largest pretzel was baked in El Salvador in 2015. It measured 29 feet 3 inches by 13 feet 3 inches. It weighed 1,728 pounds. President George W. Bush choked on a pretzel while watching a football game in 2002 and temporarily lost consciousness. Americans buy more than $550 million worth of pretzels each year. About 80% are made in Pennsylvania. In the United States, April 26th is National Pretzel Day. Every pretzel in the world was made by hand until 1935, when the first automated pretzel machine was introduced in Pennsylvania. Unsalted pretzels are nicknamed baldies. Pretzels have long been a beloved bar snack. In fact, prohibition in the 1920s hit the pretzel business hard as bars were legally required to close their doors. My gosh, who knew pretzels were so, popular? Wow. Okay, I don't like them, but I'm glad there are people that do. Okay, next is sports facts. So we are doing facts about golf. King James II of Scotland banned golf in 1457 because golfers spent too much time on the game instead of improving their archery skills. The first golf course in England was the Royal Blackheath Golf Club, founded in 1608. The first golf course constructed in the United States was Oakhurst Links Golf Club in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia in 1884. It was restored in 1994, but then closed to repair flood damage from 2016. The oldest continuously existing golf club in the United States is St. Andrew's Golf Club in New York. It was formed by the Apple Tree Gang in 1888. The first golf balls were made of wood. Next were leather balls filled with goose feathers, followed by rubber balls, gutta percha balls made of a leathery substance from tropical trees, and then modern balls. The first sudden death playoff in a major championship was in 1979, when Fuzzy Zoeller beat Tom Watson and Ed Sneed in the Masters. The longest sudden death playoff in PGA Tour history was an 11-hole playoff between Kerry Middlecoff and Lloyd Mangrum in the 1949 Motor City Open. They were declared co-winners. Beth Daniel is the oldest winner of the LPGA Tour. She was 46 years, 8 months, and 29 days old when she won the 2003 BMO Financial Group Canadian Women's Open. Most golf courses in Japan have 2 putting greens on every hole. youngest player to win a major championship was Tom Morris Jr., known as Young Tom, who was 17 years old when he won the 1868 British Open. Sam Snead and Tiger Woods top the list of PGA Tour winners with 82 victories each as of 2022. They are followed by Jack Nicklaus with 73 wins, Ben Hogan with 64, and Arnold Palmer with 62. To make the LPGA Hall of Fame, players must be active on the tour for 10 years, have won an LPGA major championship, and secured a significant number of trophies, among other qualifications. The shortest hole played in a major championship is the 106-yard par 3 7th hole at Pebble Beach Golf Links in California. The longest hole in the United States is the 841-yard par 6 12th hole at Meadows Farms Golf Club course in Locust Grove, Virginia. In 1899, Dr. George Grant, a New Jersey dentist, invented and patented the first wooden tee. Before tees were invented, golfers elevated balls on a tiny wet sand mound. The oldest player to win a major championship was 48-year-old Julius Boros at the 1968 PGA Championship. The youngest golfer to shoot a hole-in-one was 5-year-old Kobe Orr. It happened in Littleton, Colorado in 1975. The chances of making 2 holes-in-one in a single round of golf are 1 in 67 million. There are more than 11,000 golf courses in North America. Playing on a downhill hole with the help of a tailwind, Bob Matera sank a 444-yard hole-in-one on the Miracle Hill Country Club in Omaha, Nebraska. When you score 2 shots under par, it's called an eagle. When you shoot 3 under par on a single hole, it's called an albatross. Alright, moving on. Okay, so next is health and human body facts, and today we've got facts about skin and nails. Skin is your body's largest organ, accounting for about 15% of your body weight. Your skin covers an area of about 21 square feet. Humans shed about 600,000 particles of skin every hour. My goodness. That works out to about 1.5 pounds each year, so the average person will lose around 105 pounds of skin by age 70. New skin cells take about a month to reach the surface as the cells above them die off. Every square inch of human skin has about 32 million bacteria on it, but fortunately, the vast majority of them are harmless. A pair of feet have 500,000 sweat glands and can produce more than a pint of sweat a day. If you're clipping your fingernails more often than your toenails, that's only natural. The nails that get the most exposure and are used most frequently grow the fastest. Fingernails grow fastest on the hand that you write with and on the longest fingers. So my left middle finger is supposed to grow the most. On average, nails grow about 1/10 of an inch each month. Fingerprints are formed while a fetus is growing and are the result of DNA the second trimester of pregnancy, the ridges and loops in our digits are permanently etched into our skin. Fingerprint identification is far from an exact science. Analysts look for points of similarity, but there are no universal standards, and no research dictates the number of points that establish a match with certainty. Goosebumps happen when the muscles around the follicles of your body hair contract. In animals with more fur, this reflex helps keep the body warm. Your legs contain fewer oil glands than any other part of your body. You have between 2 and 4 million eccrine sweat glands. Those are the glands that are found all over your body. Receptors, cells that communicate with sensory nerves, differ in the sizes of their receptive fields. The receptors in your fingerprints have smaller fields than the receptors on other parts of your body, making them better able to distinguish touches. Your hands have about 17,000 touch receptors concentrated in your fingertips. Your eyelids have this thinnest skin of your body. That's pretty cool. Thinnest skin. But I guess that makes sense. Okay, next category is space. Facts about space. And first we've got animals in space. Facts about animals in space. The Soviet Union launched the first living creature into orbit on November 3rd, 1957. That creature was a 3-year-old stray dog named Laika. Weighing just 13 pounds, Laika's calm disposition and slight stature made her a perfect fit for the cramped capsule of Sputnik 2. In the weeks leading up to the launch, Laika was confined to increasingly smaller cages and fed a diet of a special nutritional gel to help prepare her for the journey. Sputnik 2 was a 250-pound satellite with a simple cabin, a crude life support system, and instruments to measure Laika's vital signs. When the Soviet announced that Laika would not survive her historic journey, the mission ignited a debate in the West regarding the treatment of animals. Initial reports suggested that Laika survived a week in orbit. It was revealed many years later that Laika only survived for roughly the first 5 hours. The craft's life support system failed and Laika perished from excess heat. Despite her tragic end, the heroic little dog paved the way for occupied spaceflight. Between 1957 and 1966, the Soviets successfully sent 13 more dogs into space and recovered most of them unharmed. Dogs were initially favored for spaceflight over other animals because scientists believed they could best handle confinement in small spaces. To train her for spaceflight, Laika was confined to smaller and smaller boxes for 15 to 20 days at a time. In 1959, the United States successfully launched 2 monkeys into space. Named Abel and Baker, the monkeys were the first of their species to survive spaceflight. That's so sad. About the dog, it's just sad that was her only purpose was to die in space. That's just sad. But I guess it helped us in getting us to space. I don't know. next. The category is arts and culture, and we are going to be doing facts about unusual world customs, which I think will be interesting. Alright. In much of the Far East, belching is considered a compliment to the chef and a sign that you have eaten well and enjoyed your meal. In Chile, pounding your left palm with your right fist is considered vulgar. The people of Ottery, St. Mary, England celebrate Guy Fawkes Day by racing through the streets of their town with barrels of flaming tar strapped to their backs. In ancient Rome, urine was commonly used as a teeth whitener. In most of the Middle and Far East, it's considered an insult to point your feet, particularly the soles, at another person, or to display them in any way, for example, by resting with your feet up. For almost 500 years, a form of conflict resolution known as dueling took place in Western Europe and the United States. The highly ritualistic tradition began with the offended party throwing down his glove at the foot of another and ended with a sword or pistol fight, often to the death. It's considered impolite to use silverware to eat chicken in Turkey. In Japan and Korea, tipping is considered an insult rather than a compliment. For them, accepting tips is akin to begging. Yawning in public is considered gauche in Ecuador, while a bone-crushing handshake is seen as admirable in the US and UK. In much of the East, particularly the Philippines, it is seen as a sign of aggression. In Italy, eat the spaghetti as the Romans do, with a fork only. Using a spoon to help collect the pasta is considered uncouth. Keep your right elbow off the table when eating in China. Oh, Chile, not China. This has been a long video, I can't read anymore. Until being banned in 1912, foot binding was common in China. Actually, China this time. The practice, which involved breaking girls' toes and wrapping them tightly in cloth, prevented women's feet from growing normally. Small, dainty feet were considered a symbol of status. In Sweden, the Christmas season begins on St. Lucia's Day, December 13th, when the eldest daughter of a household, clad in white and wearing a wreath holding 7 lit candles on her head, serves her family breakfast in bed. In most Asian countries, a business card is seen as an extension of the person it represents. Therefore, to disrespect a card by folding it, writing on it, or just shoving it into your pocket without looking at it is to disrespect the person who gave it to you. In Germany and most of South America, the OK sign, thumb and forefinger touching to make a circle, is an insult similar to giving someone the finger in the United States. In Turkey, the same OK sign is a derogatory gesture used to imply that someone is homosexual. Up until the 19th century, long fingernails were considered a symbol of gentility and wealth among the Chinese aristocracy. Wealthy Chinese often sported fingernails several inches in length and protected them by wearing special coverings made of gold. Chewing gum might be good for dental hygiene, but in many parts of the world, particularly still perform sati, an ancient custom in which a widow throws herself on the funeral pyre of her deceased husband to commit suicide. Wow. In Greece, any signal that involves showing your open palm is extremely offensive. Such gestures, including waving as well as making a stop sign. If you do wish to wave goodbye to someone in Greece, you need to do so with your palm facing in. Like this. I don't know. Tipping is uncommon and even rude in many Asian countries. When dining in China, never force yourself to clear your plate out of politeness. It would be bad manners for your host not to keep refilling it. Instead, you should leave some food on your plate at each course as an acknowledgement of your host's generosity. Orthodox Jews won't shake hands with someone of the opposite sex. A strict Muslim woman will not shake hands with a man. Although, to confuse matters, a Muslim man will shake hands with a non-Muslim woman. People in these cultures generally avoid touching people of the opposite sex who are not family members. When conversing in Quebec, keep your hands visible. Talking with your hands in your pockets is considered rude. In most Arab countries, the left hand is considered unclean, and it is extremely rude to offer it for a handshake or to wave a greeting. Similarly, it is impolite to pass food or eat with the left hand. Historically, people living in deserts didn't have access to toilet paper, so the left hand was used for hygiene functions, then cleaned by rubbing it in the sand. Okay. In the UK, when the two-fingered V for victory or peace salute is given with the palm facing inward, it is considered extremely rude, having a meaning similar to raising the middle finger to someone in the US. In the US, one should never butter an entire piece of bread before eating it. What? Okay, now that I've read one about the US, I'm starting to think these are all boo hockey. Because what? One should never butter an entire piece of bread before eating it. That's what? Let me know if you're from any of these countries, if these are actually true, because you can butter your bread in the US. The proper way to eat bread is to pull off a small bit from your larger piece and butter it before popping it into your mouth. No, it's not. In many countries, particularly in Asia and South America, it is essential to remove your shoes when entering someone's home. In most of Europe, it's polite to ask your host whether they would prefer you to do so. Yeah, that's true in the US. In many Latin American cultures, a girl's 15th birthday is considered one of the most important days of her life. Known as the quinceañera, the celebration can be as elaborate as a wedding. In Thailand, using one's foot to move an object or gesture towards somebody is considered the height of rudeness. I feel like that's pretty rude, normally. Similarly, one should never cross their legs when in the presence of elders. In Singapore, most gums have been illegal since 1992, when residents grew tired of scraping the sticky stuff off their sidewalks. Very, very incentives for the influential and bought Caesar access to power. Leading politicians rewarded Caesar with a series of increasingly important political positions in Spain and Rome. Caesar's time in Spain was especially useful as he used his position there to become very wealthy. In 59 BC, Caesar, by now a general, made a successful bid for power in concert with two others, Marcus Licinius Crassus and Pompey. Marcus Licinius Crassus was the richest man in Rome. Pompey, another ambitious general, was known to his immodest pleasure as Pompey the Great. I don't know if it's Pompey or Pompey. Pompey. These three type A personalities ruled Rome as the first triumvirate, with Caesar becoming first among equals as consul. Caesar had always been popular among the common people and with Rome's soldiers. He aimed to cement that loyalty with reforms that would benefit them. Soon Caesar was made governor of Gaul and spent the next 11 years conquering all of what is now France, with a couple of profitable trips to Britain for good measure. While on campaign, he wrote an account of his actions, called Commentaries, which is among the finest of all military literature. To leave Rome, even for military glory, was always risky for any of the empire's leaders. While Caesar was abroad, Crassus was killed in battle. This void encouraged Pompey, who made it clear that Caesar was no longer welcome in Rome. Caesar and his army responded by crossing the Rubicon River in 49 BC to seize control of the city. Within a year of the civil war that followed, Caesar defeated Pompey. I don't know that name. I don't know how to say it. He also began a torrid affair with Egypt's queen Cleopatra. After a few other actions against Rome's enemies, Caesar was acclaimed by all of Rome as a great hero. In turn, he pardoned all who had opposed him. Mindful of the fleeting nature of popularity, Caesar continued to promote a series of important reforms. Some of the land that had been held by wealthy families was distributed to common people desperate to make a living. As one might expect, this didn't go over well with the wealthy. Tax reforms Caesar insisted upon forced the rich to pay their fair share. This innovation didn't win Caesar many new friends among the more powerful. Retired soldiers were settled on land provided by the government. Because this land was in Rome's outlying territories, it became populated with a happy, well-trained cadre of veterans meant to be Rome's first line of defense if needed. Unemployed citizens were also given the opportunity to settle in these areas, where jobs were much more plentiful. This reduced the number of poor people in Rome and decreased the crime rate. As he had done earlier, Caesar made residents of the provinces, such as people living in Spain, citizens of Rome. Many years later, some of the Roman emperors actually came from Spain. In a clever move, Caesar instituted a massive public works program that provided both jobs and a sense of pride among the citizens of Rome. All these reforms notwithstanding, Caesar's enemies feared he would leverage his great popularity to destroy the Roman Republic and institute in its place interesting. I don't think I really knew, like, that whole story of Caesar, but it's kind of funny that, like, the whole thing they were trying to solve by killing Caesar happened because they killed Caesar. That's kind of funny, but that's really interesting. I know I had to read Julius Caesar in like 9th grade, but of course at the time I was like, this is stupid, I don't want to read this. But yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm so sorry about like all the little mistakes I made. I feel like I don't know, I can't think straight today. So I don't know. I'm really sorry about that. I feel like I always make a lot of mistakes, and I don't know if that's bad. Like, do you guys not like that? I don't know if it's annoying. I could like stop the video every time I make a mistake, but I just feel like that would be a very long video. So yeah. Oh my god, I just hit my desk. Okay, I think it's time for me to stop. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Let me know what your favorite facts were